States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Joe, this camera's working, that one's not?
Correct.
Okay. We're still being recorded. What I wanted to do, I can read this. Actually, I will read it. Prior to this, there's nobody here from the public, unfortunately, but I'm still going to read this. The Board of Trustees wants to acknowledge that the public initiative has come to light and the village is working to resolve. It was discovered by the village that due to the use of a non-standard water meter at Edgewood Acres and other factors, water consumption data that was used to generate water and sewer bills issued to Edgewood Acres over a period of several years substantially understated the quantity of the water being used there. This resulted in bills that understated the quantity of water and sewer usage at Edgewood and the corresponding amounts of the bills. The trustees of the village are committed to achieving a resolution of this matter that is in the best interest of the village of Chatham and its residents, because the matter is the subject of both discussion with Edgewood and litigation. However, protection of the village's interest precludes detailed public discussion of the specifics at this time. It speaks for itself. Just want to make sure that it was read in the minutes and it'll be part of the minutes. Obviously, first public comment period, there's nobody here. We'll move on to department reports. Do we have Aaron's report? Des?
Yeah.
You want to go with that?
For the month of August, there were 9 permits issued, 3 new complaints received, and 1 unfounded, and 1 closed. 2 CO searches, 10 certificate of occupancy and completions issued, 12 permit inspections completed, 3 complaint inspections completed, and $1,534 in payments received.
Thank you. Joe, police department.
The majority of our month was the Columbia County Fair, prep leading up to the fair, and then the fair itself the last week of the month. I'd like to take an opportunity to obviously thank the officers that worked above and beyond what they typically work as a part-time agency, and then thanking the Chatham Fire Department and Winding Brook for their donations and help throughout the fair as well. Calls for service are listed on the report. We continue our town patrols. There's an additional report for the town patrols. I have 2 items under resolution for cameras for the Tracy and the mobile LPR, so I will save that for then. We continue our new car procurement process. We're running into some issues. Dodge closed down their 2025 numbers and they haven't opened it back up yet, so we're waiting for them to open that back up so we can get accurate quotes from the dealers. This is something we had actually run into with COVID, when we purchased the last SUV, where it drug out forever because they shut down some of the quoting process. School started. We had officers last week in the school zone, and we will continue through the month of September, sporadically putting them throughout the school zone, morning and afternoon, as we have availability to ensure there's extra presence on top of the SRD that's there. Coming up in October, we have our yearly firearms training, and numbers and such are attached to my report. Nothing else.
Any questions for Joe? It was a very detailed report that he submitted.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
It was very, very detailed, and again, I want to thank the police department and the fire department. Being on the safety security committee, the fair, I spent a lot of time with these guys. More time than I wanted to. But all good. We had a little bit of fun along the way. Committed a bunch of people to make us look good, make the village look good. And aside from that, the program we're working with the town of Chatham, I think has been very well received from the town perspective. And again, it's not costing us anything. We're being reimbursed 100% for that. I I know it's been very well received. I've heard a lot of good comments, and it's just an extension of what we do on a regular basis. And thank you for that.
So was the fair pretty uneventful? I know we spent some extra funds even monitoring where the people's trailers were and stuff.
Yeah, so that was contract services, so the
Okay.
village was reimbursed for the security services for that as well. And yeah, it was relatively uneventful. I will have a couple awards to present to officers next month. A couple of officers had an EMS call that they went above and beyond, and they're going to be recognized for that as well.
Okay.
But for the most part, it was uneventful.
Okay, good.
That you bring up a good point, because the Museum of America traveled the northeast and eastern seaboard. We have a great relationship from the fair perspective. And coming in, they said, look, we're having these problems from Big E right across the eastern part of the United States, where it looked like former carnival workers casing their campgrounds and picking opportune times. So Museums of America went to the fair and said, what can you do for us? They were going to hire private security. The fair said, let's reach out to the village. Joe was able to put together a detail. In essence, the Museums of America paid the fair, who paid us to do that, and there was no issues. And it was one of the few fairs in a recent tour, no issues. And they travel around. I talked to Greg Inman. You know, Greg was one of the big jacks for Museums of America. And he says, I got to tell you, Columbia County and the village of Chapel is one of the best places we work across the country. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
Paul, Chief Write-Up. Pretty busy month for us, 13 alarms. We had 3 alarm activations, 4 auto accidents, 1 mutual aid auto accident again for entrapment, mutual aid structure fire to Tri-Village, and 4 wires down alarms. It was in that recent storm we had. All the miles for the vehicles. We only did 1 drill for the month, and that was to prepare for the fair. We take all of our jaws out and run them, all of our old equipment out and run them for the demo derby, wash the trailer inside and out, and all that kind of stuff. So that was the only drill we did for the month, because guys were tied up for a week at the fair. I got the companies to buy us new duty shirts, so we don't look the same at the fair, instead of
That's nice.
Holy t-shirts and whatever. So Hook and Ladder Notion picked that bill up. All the iPads we have all 5 of them now. The 2 companies bought us 1 because the price went up so much, we only could afford 4. But Hook and Ladder Notion came up with the money to buy us that. I have 1 in my car now, the other ones are getting programmed, and I like it so far. The next one going to be programmed will be in Eric's car. The week of the fair, we had 16 members march in the parade. We give the fair coverage from 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning until 10, 10:30 at night, including separate crews for the demo derbies and the tractor pulls and stuff like that. Just quick figuring out, the fire department did 700 hours at the fair with everybody's total hours. So yeah, we get beat up just as much as the PD, and I don't think a lot of people realize how much time we actually spend.
Well, I do, and I was at the demo derby, and I thought you guys did great, and you always really represent us well in the parades, everything.
You
And
try.
the fire department's the bomb, so
You try.
thank you for everything.
Thank you. And now that it's getting cooler, we're gonna get away from our outdoor drills and start doing some indoor drills and stuff like that.
Any other questions? Again, kudos. I can't spend the time with you guys, but I do spend the time with you guys. I know the commitment. It's a lot of downtime. It's hours of sheer boredom and a few moments of craziness. The demo derby, they had some pretty spectacular fires, which, quite frankly, could have been very, very serious. And we'll take a look at next year some of the process with this, our promoters some people could have been seriously injured this year, and just the inspection process prior to the demo derby is gonna,
And some new things they're doing now, cars without A posts, they're allowed to stiffen them off with steel.
yeah, it's pretty tough to
I'll show you
cut.
some pictures at the firehouse sometime.
But that's an inspection process, we're gonna take a look at
Yeah.
that. Thank you for that. Any other questions for Paul? Hearing none, I don't think Phil sent anything in, did he?
No.
I don't know whether anybody's heard anything other than they've 99% finished the Hudson Avenue project. They have, I think, 9 more service lines to attach. We're picking them up in between other things. They had the fair, they shut down. The county normally comes in, we contract with the county to sweep the streets prior to the fair, 2 or 3 times in the course of the year. The last minute, the week before the fair, the county's one and only operator of all their operators was sick for the week. So Phil went out and rented a sweeper and got up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with a couple guys and went out and swept all the streets. You know, paying attention to the details. So we appreciate
I
that.
must have slept well, I didn't even hear that.
Well, I can tell you a story
I'm sure
about a
some
guy that
people
comes
did
in here
that.
in the morning and I'm at the fair, Desiree sends me a call or a text that somebody's gonna call you up and they're pissed off. Somebody got dust on their car, they got dust in the street, and this guy went off on me. I got my phone out here. First thing I said, sir, I'm not hard of hearing. Well, I am. I'm not. And he proceeded to tell me that he didn't get anywhere with Phil because Phil sent him a message in a certain way that he didn't appreciate. And I said to Phil, no, I'll give him a word because it was all good. But anyhow, they got out there, they got it done. Just want to bring you up to speed on Main Street and trees. That's part of what we're going to talk about a little later, but we don't have to. 2 years ago, a year ago, we were put on notice, somebody had tripped over a crack in the sidewalk, we were brought into a suit along with the property owner. Went through almost 2 years. I gave 50 pages of testimony in the deposition, long story short. This week, on Tuesday, a member of the public tripped over the sidewalk, same sidewalk, and had some injuries, came in, made a police report out. That was on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I called the attorney that was handling our lawsuit for the insurance company, and he told me it's been resolved. This is on Wednesday, okay. Our insurance company paid a claim. Didn't have to agree with it, I think it was $17,000. On Friday, another person trips over this, 2 people this week. So I ordered Phil to close it and take the tree down and remove the sidewalk today, because we're not admitting that we own anything, we're not admitting we don't. The attorney that handled the case for the insurance company said you'd be wise to repair that, and we repaired it. Let me back up. 2 weeks ago, Aaron Gaylord had come to me, walked to Main Street and said he'd like to take the trees down from the building, and I said, well, we'll bring it to the board. Both those sidewalks were kicked up, and Aaron was willing to take the trees down at no expense to the village and replace all the sidewalk. I said to it, because clearly we would have to do it.
Right.
He's in the process of doing that, and he's going to replant trees. I asked Phil for a couple ideas on trees because we have a couple empty spots. We're going to replace those empty spots with something that's more urban friendly. The trees that were there over a period of time that aren't particular. So there's a couple things there that to come back with some ideas. But, so I unilaterally did that on our safety issue, and we moved on that. There have been some people saying you're cutting trees now, what are you doing? Well, it wasn't like I got up this morning and said, Phil, start cutting trees down and jackhammer the sidewalk up.
For something to do.
It's a $17,000 claim. Call it what it is, but that's the reason behind that. So that's where we're at. Questions? I don't have anything else on Phil's agenda.
Aaron Gaylord stepping up.
He stepped up. He just purchased the building, and he had some ideas. And quite frankly, it was covered in front of his building, but my concern is the sidewalk.
Yeah, of course.
I had somebody come in today who was paying a water bill and said, well, people have to start paying attention where they're walking. I wish it was that easy. You really do, but the world we live in. So that's it. All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes from August 12th. Can I get a
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? I need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 26th special meeting. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
In a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I need to approve the August 2024 budgets to actual. Motion
Motion.
in a second.
Second.
This is so easy.
No.
New business, resolution 144 to approve the use of funds in the Hudson and Housing Manor Water Main Reserve Fund in the amount of $206,133.95 to cover invoices purchases made from July to August, which were applied to the village budget line 83402. Transmission equipment is reflected as item C on the August budget actual report. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Second.
This should be near the very end of this particular reserve. There may be a few loose items. Is that correct? We do. All in favor?
Aye.
145 to amend the budget for the use of unappropriated fund balance where the board resolved on January 8th, 2024 to use the unappropriated balance of fund project known as Chatham Municipal Well Assessment, a mandatory redundant water source, and whereas pursuant to Village Law 5-520, appropriation of the necessary fund may be made. You know what, I'm not going to read this whole thing,
Thank you, John.
because there's no big difference. If there's any questions, this is just normal business. I need a motion
Motion.
and a second.
Second.
This well assessment continues on. We'll talk a little bit further here when we get into this later. They did the assessment at the Shore Road site. We paid our bills with Clark Pump. We contracted them to come in and pump the well, clean it, pump it. And the hydrologist was there, Mobile had people there. And the hydrologist, who's been around for a long time, says this knocked it out of the park. It was one of the best wells he's ever come across.
Wow.
But
What is the butt?
they take water samples and they test it for 50, 60 chemicals, compounds, it takes months to get. That was almost a home run, until it got to the point where they were over on EPA levels of PFOAs, which is a forever chemical. You don't want that. So we're back to the drawing board, looking at, let's vote on this first. All in favor?
Oh, aye.
This is for this particular
Yeah.
portion of it, and we'll discuss it more, or I can discuss it now, but they were given 5 more sites to take a look at, potential sites, and come back with an idea of what they're going to prioritize, which ones might look the best, and we may decide to go and test another area. PFOAs is becoming more and more prevalent, I'm being told, in the Hudson Valley. It's not the death knell. They can be filtered out. There's a lot of communities that have that right now, and they're using filters. The general consensus with the engineering firm is, before we make a presentation to the health department for all their approval, we need to go to the ends of the earth to make sure we've checked everything we can versus, okay, this is the best we can do, and they're going to say, did you look anyplace else? So there may be some more additional funding needed. We'll put together another package. It's fluid. We're working in that direction. I think that's important to do our due diligence. And, that's where we're at.
Okay, sounds good.
Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
I asked while they were on the call there, not everyone, but it might cost us like $200,000 to $300,000 extra for that. And then we have to consider what it's gonna cost for those cartridges.
Yeah,
And
long term.
disposing of them.
Right. Filtering is an option, but that's something that's long term, and it's never ending. So there's always going to be that cost. They were talking to EPA to say they give a level of 10 for, and just don't hold me at this. We're at an 11, just over the threshold EPA. But they were saying that EPA is starting to change their regulations again to take that 10 and lower it even more. So the filtering process may become even more cumbersome as we move forward. Avon Park School District, Lebanon, Galatia, they all have these issues, Galatia schedules. some serious issues with their municipal water and their filtering the water. Doesn't mean we can't, but we have great water where we are now. I don't think we want to take a step back at this point. We want to look at everything we can. So that's kind of where we're at with this. Okay. Resolution 146 to approve the use of funds in the Chatham Sewer Reserve Fund in the amount of $37,900 to cover invoices for the purchases made from June to August, which were applied to the village budget line 81302. Treatment equipment is reflected as item A on the August budget to actuals. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
And that goes with some of the stuff we're going to talk about going forward here, in addition to the, what do I call it, the project we have coming on board. They haven't started it yet, starting to mobilize. All in favor?
Aye.
147 to authorize the DPW to purchase a mini blend L4S 121.0 ups replacement polymer mixing unit from Coster Associates in the amount of $10,300 per quote due to a sudden unexpected failure of the existing unit. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
And a second. It's all to do with the sewer. All in favor?
Aye.
And 148 is to budget line transfer the amount of $10,300 from that line to 81302, treatment equipment for the emergency purchase of the mini blend replacement polymer unit from Costa. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
149, to authorize CPE to purchase one Motorola portable LPR L60, including the 5-year service from Vigilant Solutions, per the quote dated on 8/22/24, based on Sourcewell contract number, and you see the number in the amount of $9,155. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
And Joe, that's going to be grant money as we go forward.
Yes, that's the New York State grant money.
And that's in the next resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 150 to approve a budget line transfer in the amount of 9155 for grant money budget line 3389 state aid public safety to budget line 31202 police equipment for the purchase of said LPR. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 151 to authorize CPD to purchase 10 Arlo cameras with accessories for the Tracy building not to exceed $2,900. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Second.
Joe?
So we briefly talked on last month, replacing the hardwired camera system that we have now and expanding coverage, so ensuring that we cover the back parking lot, back area where our employees park, as well as front and side of the building, and the basement as well, so giving a more complete coverage of the building. These cameras will be wireless, and staff will be able to have access to them based on approvals, so they'll be able to access that. So Desiree and Sam specifically, when they're working late here, will be able to pull up the cameras prior to going outside and stuff like that.
It's way past time.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 152 to approve one-time sewer relief in the amount of $489.08 to St. James Roman Catholic Church Rectory at 129 Hudson Avenue due to a leaking outdoor faucet. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 153, which I will not read, it's what we kind of do on a annual basis, but it is the 175th Payne African Methodist Episcopal Church anniversary, and we always do a resolution in that regard, so as you can see. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
And we will put that in some form of frame, right? That's what we're all in favor, okay. Some items for discussion, we talked about the trees, so that's off. We're going to move next month's meeting because it's holiday to the 15th. Document shredding, you can see sidewalks clearance. Once again, it's an ongoing battle. Aaron has sent more notices out. She's had Chatham PD go out there and hand them out. Again, we're getting towards the end of the year. Next year, we'll have to get out of shredding. Refuse. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. I know we started the discussion. I did once again, I don't have a lot to do, so I ride around on Wednesday mornings and did a little bit of a look at about 200 places. Out of the 200, less than half of them had garbage out, they all had recyclables out. I'm gonna make a wild assumption that some of those bags of garbage are inside the containers, and people may or may not be putting stickers on them. We're just bouncing some things around about putting a newsletter, putting a letter out saying, hey, we have to take a look at our processes here. I don't think it was ever meant to be self-sustaining in the sense that the stickers would pay for it. The spread's getting further and further apart, our cost versus our revenues. And I've talked to Relation, came up in the same predicament as their rates before. The contracts went up pretty much the same as ours. They're very much in the same predicament. They haven't made a decision. I'm kind of listening to them a little bit. The early call is they're looking at raising their sticker prices. That's all well and good, but if you're not buying the stickers, you can raise them.
It's not really gonna help.
So we have to think of, I'm not gonna go around at 4 o'clock in the morning knocking on doors and say, you don't have your sticker on. But we have to take a look at that, how we're going to handle that. There's more and more private entities coming into the village, people contract them to pick the trash up. Do we continue to do this and just wake up quickly and say, here's a list of preferred contractors, make your own deal and get out of the garbage business? I'm not quite sure we want to do that at this point, but we have to take a long, hard look at this and go forward. We can't sustain it on $130,000 and we're bringing in $33,000. The revenues are going lower, the cost is becoming more. And I think everybody's in the same boat where we're trying to cut a corner here or there, and my neighbor threw garbage in there. So the discussion continues. If anybody has any ideas, we can discuss that going forward. Okay. Jones Avenue Courts, I wasn't here at the last meeting. I know there was some discussion. Ken has thrown an idea together, some proposed court order. I think they're wonderful. I don't think we need resolutions or anything to do these things unless somebody has some heartache. I would.
Ken covered everything, even the number of balls on the court.
You guys are talking about it. You didn't want someone out there with buckets and knocking them all over the place, so.
I picked up on that through the New York Post. There was an article, and for some reason I just picked up on it that they didn't allow more than 8 balls on the court at one time. Because these instructors are bringing 100. Who's going to be the police to go up there and count the balls? But God bless you for doing that, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
If we got to get more cameras, we got more cameras. But the point being is, it's, I don't want to poke the bear here, but the people with all good intent, the pickleball people, are being very nice and just walking away because they're being somewhat pushed away, if you will. I think this is something we're at the end of the season, but we should have signs made up. Start the season out next year with different footing and set the tone early on. It'd be pretty hard to go up there next week and throw a sign up. We're at the 11th hour, but I'd like to pursue this.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And we'll go.
I mean, at some point, you got to do it by resolution, just so that the force of the board as a whole behind it. If you're not going to do them for often, we want to revise them or something before making the sign. But at some point, you should do.
All right, let's put it on the agenda for next month, and we will resolve to do that.
Okay.
I mean, there's a sort of, it's a technical problem, I don't really have a good way to resolve it. It's, you say it's an hour, someone's already been there for half an hour and you show up, they can pretty much hang out for another hour, it's not like on the clock hour, if somebody's their core rub and the hour concludes, they don't have to leave after 15 minutes, but, at least saying an hour, it does some vagueness about exactly when that starts and ends, depends on when people start playing and stuff, but at least, it's kind of a hard issue to do.
Yeah, I'm busy chasing garbage.
Well, I mean, someone's not going to sit there and dominate the court for hours on end.
And it is now, it's out of control. I talked to the town early on, when this all took place at the end of last year, they were talking about having the pickleball courts starting this spring. Well, they haven't started yet, and they still have funding to do that. Just, it's the atmosphere, political atmosphere, wherever the case may be, on the town side, which is fine. They haven't moved on it yet. They still intend to do that. But I thought that would take some of the heat off of us by giving us a couple more courts, and it hasn't happened. So I think we still need to follow through with this. Again, it's the middle of September. Okay?
Sounds good.
We'll hold that up to the next one. I don't have anything else. Unless somebody has something they want to bring up for the good of the public. Otherwise, I'm going to ask that we adjourn executive session for some pending possible current litigation. So I can get a motion to go to executive session.
Motion. Second.
And then we go into executive session. Thank you, two chiefs.